Salutations, my name is Summer and this is Sterling Reads. Sorry it's been so long, but I'm finally back. I'm only working one job now. I'm no longer working third shift, so I'm still tired. I'm still adjusting. I still have anxiety around like 8 p.m. thinking I have to go in, but no more, so I have to let all that go. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. I want to talk about what I've read. There's a lot. I don't think I'll mention everything, but I have a ton to talk about today with what I've been reading and really enjoying everything. So let's see. Last time I talked with you guys, I was reading Sookie Stackhouse series. I am still reading it. I've been reading it on my Kindle. Thank you, Nathan. But I have read Club Dead, which was book 3, Dead to the World, which was book 4, and Dead as a Doornail, which is book 5. I have started Definitely Dead, which is book 6. And I'm enjoying this Sookie Stackhouse ride even more than the first time I read it. And I have been reading, I got this from the library. This is the complete Sookie Stackhouse stories. These are by Charlaine Harris, if you don't already know. And Sookie Stackhouse is a human. Hey, here's Sterling. Hopefully he'll come over. Come here. So that way I can like lift him up. Oh, yes. But anyway, so I've never read them in order like that before. Come here. Oh, what a good boy. Oh, no, come here. Wait. This is Sterling. He's like, let me down. But anyway, I've never read them in order like that. I've never read the short stories. I did read the series back when True Blood was out, and it's very different from the TV series, but I really enjoyed both of them. So anyway, also I have a new setup, so I'm excited. Back when I was cozy reading with Quaker Cats, I used to be on the other side of the house, which has perfect lighting. It's very dark over here, as you can tell, and I now have cat hair. But anyway, hopefully you'll be able to see them because it means so much to me when my cats show themselves. And this is the bathroom where they walk in and out of all the time. And there's a little bowl and a little toy there. So, okay, a project that I started that I'm really happy about is, if I can find my books, it's a Stephen King project. I love Stephen King. I've been wanting to, Sterling. I've been wanting to reread his books and read everything of his. So I decided to do that. I knew I didn't want to start in the beginning like other booktubers are doing, where they're reading them in order of when they were written. I wanted to read what I wanted to read. So that's what I'm doing. Are you coming back over? I think he's going to go on the tree. We'll see. And May is up there, hanging out. So there's that. Okay, so anyway, this project. So I decided I want to do a reread and a new read. Reread, new read. So I picked up Dolores Claiborne. I love this. I had not read this book since I was a teenager. And this is about Dolores Claiborne, who is being interviewed by the police. She has been accused of murder, and she's like, no, I did not murder Vera, my boss, but I did murder somebody else. So, and she tells her story, and I love it. I love how real the characters are, how these women are such survivors. Also, the eclipse, during the eclipse, Dolores sees, which is such an intense scene, but she sees this little girl, and the little girl is connected to Gerald's game. So I haven't read Gerald's game since I was a teenager, and I still have not reread it. What are you doing? Sterling. So I decided, since I reread that, I would pick up one that I had not read yet, and this is Thinner. I guess he originally wrote it under Richard Bachman, but Stephen King. So anyway, I guess this is a movie. I've never seen it, but it is about a man who, let's see. Okay, so racist terms are used. They use the term gypsy, which let me know. I believe Romany is now the correct term. As an American, gypsy was always, it always meant like beautiful, colorful, free, like freedom. Those two words always meant the same thing to me. I did not realize that it was a degrading term or a negative term. When you know better, you do better, right? So let me know the correct terminology if Romany is not right. Anyway, this group come in and to town, and they are treated horribly. They are treated, the townspeople are hateful. They take advantage of the people, and they just, the police come in, and it's just, the story that we all have known many, many times. Anyway, our main character, who is a heavyset lawyer, he ends up doing something. Of course, he blames his wife for it, but he is cursed. So that happens quickly on, and then we're going through this journey of, you have to find this man, this leader, and that takes a while. I mean, Stephen King, he's not in any hurry, even though it is a smaller book, but it takes a while to get there, and then this ending will knock you off your feet. I'm still thinking about the ending. I'm still thinking about how the husband and wife, their relationship, how it changed, and how quickly it became like a hateful. They say there's a thin line between love and hate, and it was like it turned sour for sure. Very, very good. So I decided, well, it's time to reread something. So I am rereading Laceys Story for like the third or fourth time. This is my all-time favorite Stephen King. It's about Lisey Landon and her husband Scott, who has passed, and for the past Sterling. For the past 2 years, she has been a widow, and her dealing with the fans and people's expectations of her and what they want from her. And it's about her relationship with Scott. It takes us from the beginning on down to when he passes. So it's funny because I read this last year or the year before. I think the year before, with Scott Danielson and Scott Bryant, who I miss both, and Becky. And I think maybe Jackie read it also with us in a group. Absolutely love this. So I am rereading this. And the book that is new to me that I just started reading is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. It's out in my car. I took it with me yesterday. I always take a book with me, and that's the one that went with me. And I had so many groceries to carry in. I know it's probably still sitting on my passenger seat. So there's that. And I'm excited about that. I knew I was wanting to read all of King's work. I just didn't know how I wanted to do it, and now I have found a way that I'm excited about. A book that I read through ebook is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I really enjoyed having a 40-year-old character with a cat. I loved how his character grew, and how his prejudices he was able to let go after it's like all prejudices, once you know better, and everybody wants the same things pretty much. We're all human. So when I feel that way about animals, I have like compassion towards even like plants, and I don't know, I just try to treat everything well. But anyway, I thought this was wonderful. I am going to be setting this on my niece's bookshelf and giving it to her. Let's see. Oh, I did a buddy read with Mark over at Book Time with Elvis. We read the first book in the Forsyte saga. It was a reread for both of us. It's called The Man of Property. And Oh, I watched this show first before I read The Man of Property, and this, like I said, this is a reread. I can't help but to love Bossamy and Soames, even though they didn't get along. I'm not a fan of Irene. I just cannot help it. I just do not care for her. But I like so many of the other characters. I laughed quite a bit. Maybe it's like things I should have been laughing at, but I did. I love how class, money, how being a man of property changes how you are seen and what people think about you. And yeah, I look forward to reading the other two books in that this year, but it won't be this month or next month because I have too many other things going on, too many things I've started that I want to get back to. Another buddy read that I'm doing, and this is with a new friend that I met through email, and now we're talking on Boxer. Anyway, we had decided to read the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and she says she's a slow reader. I'm very glad because I started reading this and I was lost, completely lost. So I'm going to restart it. Fridays, I think, are going to be our day that we talk about it. So hopefully by Friday, I will have picked it back up, reread the beginning, and hopefully I understand it more because I know like fantasy type books, and plus when everything feels very different, it takes a minute to learn that world and what's going on and all that. So I haven't got the feel for this yet. So a book that I read or I listened to through audio was The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. I might have mispronounced that. I'm going to link Kari's channel down below, Very Literary Kari. I saw this on her channel. Her and her best friend had read the whole trilogy, and they talk about all the books. There are spoilers, just to give you a heads up. I only watched half of the video. I'm waiting until I read the full trilogy to go back and watch to finish it. But I really enjoyed watching them and hearing what they had to say about it. This book is about a woman who has left her home village, her family, her husband, to set out. She's a henna artist, but she also does other things on the side that help women. Her husband shows up with a 13-year-old girl who is her little sister she never even knew existed, and her mother is passed. And it just goes from there. Like, it's so wonderful of a story. I loved like everything about it. So I ordered the second audiobook through Libby. I'm hoping to get it soon. And I'm curious what my mom is going to say. She is in the middle of a series though, so I will see. She may not. And I noticed she had Gone with the Wind on the table, and I don't know if she's going to be going because we went to a book sale and she got Ruth's Journey, Rhett Butler's People, and she said, I don't have Gone with the Wind, so I put my copy down there for her. So, and she has Scarlet. I've only read Gone with the Wind. I've not read any. I wasn't a fan of Scarlet, so I did not continue on, even though maybe I can appreciate it more. But anyway, really enjoyed this, and like I said, check out Kari's video if you're more interested in what goes on in the story. Another book that I am listening to right now, and that is The Measure by Nikki Erlick. Okay, so take your scientific mind and set it aside. I know this isn't realistic, but it's so interesting. Imagine everybody in the world receives a box, and this box has a string, and the string is the length of your life. And everything in life is affected by it. You know, I would be one, this reminded me a lot of the vaccine and COVID. I would be one who would not want to open my box. But you can't get health insurance unless they see that you have a long string. You can't adopt a child. Certain people wouldn't even want to date you if they knew you had a short string. Getting into the military, getting into politics, everything, typical job, they want to see your string. And that comes up with like your rights of, you know, should you have to show your string? In society is saying yes, apparently. But it brings up all these thoughts. It's very like reflective of, you know, how would things go if this really happened? I mean, because they can tell down to the date, whether you have 2 years, 14, 40. It's very interesting. So I'm almost done, like 77% in, I think, and it's very good. I'm curious to how it's going to end. But yeah, I know it's not realistic, but it is very interesting. So I read a couple of ebooks. I read A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Absolutely loved it. I loved the first one too. I know it's like a monk and robot duology. It was called The Psalm of the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. Anyway, there was a part early on in this book where the robot, they go to a new village, this monk and robot, and there's a dog that's growling and uncertain about the robot, and the robot like lays down and becomes submissive and quiet and still, and lets the dog take his time with smelling him and seeing he's not a threat. And I love that, because I feel like everything goes so fast right now in life, and the idea of him saying, no, this is important, I need to stop and take however long this is going to take. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I plan to reread those over and over again. I'm so glad that I have them on my Kindle. So thank you, Nathan. A book I listened to from the library was called The River of Silver, and this is by S.A. Chakraborty. This is short stories from the Devabad trilogy, which I loved, and I reread the first 2 books last year or earlier. I don't even know, what is this? Well, it must have been last year. So these are short stories from that world. She tells you before each one if it will spoil a book. So I really would listen to it or read it after you've read the trilogy. But I really enjoyed it. So, another book, and I got this from the library also. It was The Year of the Hare by Arto Paasilinna. I really enjoyed it also. It's about a man who is a journalist, and he is, I think he's in Germany, and he is driving with a photographer, and they're driving to a job, and he all of a sudden hits this hare, and the hare goes flying off into the woods, and he stops his car, he gets out, walks into the woods, and tries to find it. And the photographer, who was in the passenger seat, is hollering the whole time, like, are you crazy? Get back here, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be late. Anyway, he finds the rabbit, and he calms it down, and he puts a little splint on its leg, and then he won't leave it. And the photographer just takes the car and leaves and heads into town. And the journalist doesn't show up. So then he's worried, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have left him out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. But the journalist takes the rabbit, and he goes off walking and just continues to walk with this rabbit. He does come into a town where he calls his wife and asks for a divorce and for her to send money. And yeah, it's a bit crazy. I love the compassion he has. Oh, there's Rollo. The compassion he has for this hare. But he doesn't have it for a bear later. And you have all these kind of things that happen. Like there's a fire in the woods and such silliness that he gets up to. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was completely different from other things that I have been reading. So it's really good. The last thing I think I want to talk about was a complete surprise, and just I ended up loving it. And that was The Secrets of Hartwood Hall by Katie Lumsden. So as you probably know, this is Katie from Books and Things, and this is her debut novel. And I loved everything about it. It felt like the Brontes, and it was so atmospheric, like Daphne du Maurier. You know, where you have this like unsettling feeling and you're not quite sure why you feel unsettled and you're not quite sure what's going on and you don't really know who to trust. Even your like main character, it's like, I'm not sure who to trust. I loved everything about it. I also love that it did have a tiny bit of a modern feel, like when it came to the love stories, which it's just a little bit of love story. It's just, you know, it's not a romance, which I'm not a fan of romance, but I do like love in my books that I read. It was just the perfect amount of everything, I thought. I felt like Katie went and, you know how they say, if the book you're in the mood to read isn't written, write it yourself. I feel like that's what Katie did with this book. I loved the characters. I love that our main character has a disability. I love how she got that disability. I love her relationship with her husband. I love that how everything is not as it seems. Oh, and there was this character who made me so nervous, Susan, and I was like, ooh. I love what happens there also. I mean, it was just so good. And I wasn't prepared for how much I was going to love it. So I definitely recommend it. Anyway, I think that's everything I want to talk about today. I know it was a lot. Hopefully in this setup, you'll be able to see my cats more because it makes me so happy when I can share them with you guys. Anyway, let me know how you guys are doing, what you've been reading, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully I'll make more, I say this every time, hopefully I'll make more videos now that I'm not working so much. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Bye.